welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling, well, a real historical anomaly, the Dutch Golden Age.
It's a fantastic topic.
Right. I mean, we're talking about the period from roughly 1588 to 1648. And you have to ask, how did this tiny collection of provinces become a global superpower?
That is the central question of the 17th century. And what's so fascinating is their political choice. While, all their neighbors, France, Spain, were building these absolute monarchies.
Centralizing power.
Exactly. This area breaks away from Spain and decides to govern itself, a decentralized republic in a sea of kings. It was completely radical.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack the specific drivers, the politics, the economics that made it all happen.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the money, the economic ignition. What was the big bang moment that let them corner global trade?
It was really about strategic opportunism. And here's where it gets really interesting. The fall of Antwerp in 1585, when the Spanish took the city and closed the River Scheldt, Europe's main commercial hub just shut down. All that capital, all those merchant families, they just moved north.
Making Amsterdam the new center of everything.
Almost overnight, it became the staple market of Europe.
And that, combined with their genius move of controlling the Baltic grain trade, meant their own farmers didn't have to grow basic food. They could import cheap grain from the Oostgebied.
Which freed them up to specialize. They started producing high-value products, butter, cheese, meat. It created this huge secondary boom in the countryside.
So, okay, actually, before we get into the politics that manage all this wealth, if you're finding this deep dive useful, it would be a huge help if you could take a moment to, hit that like or subscribe button.
Or leave a comment. It really does help us keep these conversations going.
It really does.
Yeah.
So, okay, the politics. This is where it gets complicated.
It is. This new republic was built on decentralization. Sovereignty didn't rest with the king, but with the 7 Gewesten provinces.
Like Holland and Zeeland.
Precisely. And this led to something historians call gewestelijk particularism, which basically means each province fiercely guarded its own laws.
But that sounds like it could cause problems. I mean, you need some kind of central control, right? For an army, for foreign policy.
Absolutely. And that's what the Staten General was for. Representatives from each province would meet to handle the big stuff. Defense, taxes, and dealing with other countries.
And within that system, you get this incredible power struggle. Because Holland was the economic engine, it paid for almost 60% of everything.
Which made its leader, the Ratspensionaris, incredibly powerful. Think of figures like Johan de Witt. This was the chief executive representing the merchant class.
And he was always in tension with the other major figure.
The stadhouder, usually a prince from the House of Orange like Willem III. He was the military commander.
So you have this constant battle, the Republican merchant view versus the more monarchical centralized view.
And all the while, the real day-to-day power in the cities was held by the Regenten, the rich merchant families you see in those famous Frans Hals portraits.
And just to put some dates on this, they got a crucial ceasefire with Spain, the 12-Jarige Bestand, from 1609 to 1621.
And then official recognition as a nation with the Peace of Munster in 1648.
Okay, so beyond money and politics, what made the society itself so unique?
I think it has to be the relative tolerance. This idea of gewetensvrijheid, or freedom of conscience.
So not total religious freedom, but...
No, not in the modern sense.
Right.
Catholics, for instance, often had to be discreet. But you weren't hunted down and murdered for your beliefs. This drew in skilled people from all over Europe. Protestants, Jews, other freethinkers.
And they fueled the economy and the culture.
Completely. The whole culture just exploded. Patronage wasn't from the king, it was from wealthy citizens. That's why you get Rembrandt and Vermeer painting scenes of everyday life.
And you have huge scientific leaps, too, like the microscope and the pendulum clock.
It was a true golden age.
So to sum it up, it was really a perfect storm of political innovation, merchant power, and social tolerance.
A dramatic but finite success. The end is often marked by the ramp jar, the disaster year of 1672. A tragic end.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to consider. That decentralization gave the Republic its flexibility and its wealth. But how did that exact same feature, that constant tension between the civilian Ratspensionaris and the military stadhouder, become its greatest vulnerability when it was attacked from all sides? Think about that trade-off between freedom and efficiency.